gather around, my dear students. Just recently, I had an epiphany about money yet again. But let's start with the rules of nature, shall we? The rules, let's say laws of nature, on the grand scale seem to redistribute things so that they become like a more they go into a more homogeneous state. For example, osmosis. Osmosis right here. Okay? The laws of osmosis would say that the water, for example, in this configuration should flow in this direction in order to make an equilibrium of density between these two parts here. I'm not going to explain it further because I'm here to talk about money. Instead of that, here's yet another example from the rules of nature that is very typical. For example, here's a hot keg of like tea, okay, and a cold drink of lemonade with little ice cubes in it, and you just leave this configuration in a room. What happens? The hot keg of tea will get cold, too cold for a tea, and the lemonade, well, first the ice cubes will melt in the lemonade and then it gets lukewarm, okay? It heats up. So basically, the same thing happens. Here we have too much heat, and here we have too little heat. So basically, on the grand scale, what happens is that heat will flow in this direction in order to create an equilibrium between these two objects we have here. Now, the rules of nature, right? This is how it works, mostly. But we have created something in civilization that doesn't seem to obey the rules of nature. Money, okay? Money behaves the complete opposite of this. Where there is a lot of it, more shows up. The density, it acts against the equilibrium, okay? When there's a lot of it, more gets to there, and there's a little, even less will be there in the next time t. I think you get the picture. The epiphany I had, however, is that money, in fact, does obey the rules of nature, but it doesn't behave like liquids or heat. It behaves like mass. Okay? So let's see, we have little specks, small specks of mass in the space. They just scatter around like this group here. It will cease to be a group, okay? Over time, it just doesn't have the gravity. It's just scatters around in space. However, once we gain some mass, okay, the pieces of this material could orbit around each other. This system has gravity, some force that holds it together. Okay? It's money in circulation. We have costs and incomes here. It's a system. It's somewhat sustainable. At least it's more sustainable than this situation up here. Now, here comes the big part. Because once you have so much mass in just one place, it's such a load. What happens? Well, its own gravity just sucks it into an incredibly high density, and it becomes, that's right, a black hole. Now this thing cannot lose mass anymore, okay? It just cannot. What it can still do, however, is gain mass, okay? It has a gravity that just draws in more and more, never ending, okay? So that is how money, as a construct, still obeys the laws of nature.